are live, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Trainman Report. We are here with Alex, the Trainman Montagano. I'm going to probably say this with my English-ass accent, but Alicia Maria Salazar Orantes. My name is Holden Stephan Roy.
Arriba.
And it's going to be a different episode from the pace of what we've done in other episodes, but that's great because the truth is we don't always want to talk about the same things. We want the Trainman Report to be something about the community where people who live here and have different perceptions and perspectives on things can come and share what they care about, and then we can kind of turn it into a community conversation. That being said, it's a live show, so feel free to participate in the comments and chat away, and we'll do our best to respond to you in real time as we see comments. So Alex, sometimes we might have to interrupt to answer some comments because if it's relevant, it's a community show. Make sure to like, subscribe, but most importantly, share with your friends and let them know that we exist, and tell them to come through Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Trainman Report. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and on X. I've started calling it X. I gave up on Twitter because I think that's a thing of the past. On that note, Alex, why don't you come through with your great introduction and introduce our guest the way that you do with flair and charm and trains.
Well, before I start, I think it's important that I state without question that I can talk about trains all the time. So understanding that this show needs to be diverse and have a variety to it, I think that's extremely important. And in today's show, we are blessed to have an NDGer talk to us about our furry friends. Now, many people would think this is a fluff show, but au contraire, companion animals have become an important part of our lives, and they impact us in many different ways. They impact urban policy, how we relate to each other as neighbors and as friends, involve our companion animals, and we thought it was an important, opportunity for us to have Alicia on the show. Alicia Salazar Orantes. Am I saying that correctly?
You're saying it perfectly.
I am. Excellent.
You have to roll your R's a little
yes,
bit.
I like to do that.
It's not going to happen more than I can. It's just
Salazar Orante. There we
Orantes, yeah.
Excellent. So you've been involved in the community vis-a-vis, companion animals, dealing with abandoned animals, rescuing them essentially. I think people call them rescue animals, right? Someone who would adopt a pet from you, and a pet that's unfortunately been abandoned. Or, it's not cast judgment. Sometimes it just could be a fact that the owner passed or the owner is no longer capable of caring for their pet. That happens too, right?
That happens too, yeah. What I wanted to just make it clear is that I've been helping other rescues to share the abandoned animals in their, through Facebook, through Helping Kitties, through my own personal pages. But the animals that I've actually placed have actually come from one place. And they haven't been abandoned, but they just need to be saved from that situation.
They need to be relocated or rehomed, as they say, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I have been a pet owner, or I've had pets in my household throughout my entire life. Mm-hmm. I have to, state for the record that I basically grown up with cats, right? So I've always been a cat in the household. They say that cats have never been really domesticated. They domesticated us, right?
I think all animals do that to us.
To a certain extent. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, I guess there's the reason why we brought you in the show is obviously to talk about the resources that are out there, the challenges, and some of the issues that we confront as a community related to companion animals. And but most importantly, the reason why you're here is because you're an NDGer, right? The best people on the planet, right? Come on, people, let's own up to it, right? I know that's like self-flattery and all that kind of stuff, but if we're not proud of ourselves, who's going to be proud for us, right? Nobody,
it's like
right?
it's the same. It's no different than any other kinds of patriotism or sports team loving or being a big fan of a favorite artist of music. Currently, there's rap beefs happening and everyone's taking sides in pop music. So it's really like, it's no different. It's like, who's the best borough in Montreal? Obviously, it's DG. You can disagree with me, but you're wrong.
That's right.
Yeah. There you go.
Same ditto for our bagels and ditto for our smoked meat and our rotisserie chicken. And now we have the best donuts in town, right? With the
I
arrival
heard,
of
yeah.
Homer Donuts. Mind you, I'm sure that there's other establishments in NEG who take exception with that, which is all fine, right? You know,
Yeah.
as long as
All
we
I'm
keep
gonna
it in the
say is-
family, right?
While Homer's was popping, we ended up having donuts the other day. So shout out donuts over on DeKalb.
There we go.
They got some creative donuts. One of them is like pancakes and like maple syrup thing, and it comes with this little tube of maple syrup, and you squeeze it into the donut, and then you just, it's like we're saying donuts get serious. They might get a
Sounds
little
like a
pricier.
drug, you know. You got to
but,
inject
like,
it.
That's exactly what
sugar
you
Oh, I
need.
need it. Give it to me.
So yeah, NDG's trying to get their donut game up, which is good.
Holden's gonna be on the corner begging, "Hey man, can I have $5? I need a donut.
Need my donut.
Need a donut."
I mean, I don't know if y'all seen the lines at Homer's, but like that's what that looks like to me.
And
That's just people
on
fiending
social
for it.
media.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it. I really, seeing a lineup outside in a local establishment and made the news. That is NDG. That is good stuff. I want to see more of that stuff. You know, I want to see us celebrating our own and catering to our own businesses. And I want us going around town saying, "Oh yeah, you live in Milan, in Plateau. You don't know anything. We have Homer bagels. Oh, excuse me, Homer donuts. Did it say bagels?
Competitive.
Holy smokes!"
Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
All right, so but tell us about yourself, right? Because I always like to get like a portrait. We always do the origin story, skit, right? The thing. So tell us, who are you? Who's Alicia?
Who am I?
Yeah.
I was thinking of that. I'm like, who am I? Well, I'm a Salvadorian, so I was born in El Salvador, so Latina.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I was born there and left my country during the Civil War. And went to live in San Francisco, so my heart's over there with the 49ers and the whole thing. And then we relocated to Canada. So I've been here, started in Saint Laurent, ended up in Dorval. So I am a West Island, so I am a Dorvalian. So my heart
Fair
is
enough.
there too. And but I came to NDG for basically the cats, and also to help out a friend who was going through some cancer. He was surviving cancer, so I relocated here in order to be there for the animals and for my friend. So it's
When did
So
you?
it's actually the cats that got you to NEG. Your friend
Yeah.
needed help with his cats. Is that it? Wow.
yeah. So the first one was the cats, and the second that was in 2015. I came
Okay.
here, and that's when we were actually. We had some of the cats here in the duplex itself. We created, we made the dining room into our cat room, and so that people can actually come in, meet the animals, and the animals would choose
Alright.
them. So, it's
So
really
let's run that back. So my understanding is that when you say the cats, this is what you do with rehoming cats. Like that's what related to this operation. Like 'cause we
Yes.
kind of
So what happened is, go ahead.
I'm gonna say, like, let's run through it. Like, nobody knows who you are, and
Yeah.
we are presenting this information for the first time to an audience. So, let's go even before the cats. We'll get into that because it's the thing. But I believe you said you studied in sound engineering and you have a whole background in life before the cats. So, like,
Yeah, but we need to go before that and talk about El Salvadorian politics and
Yeah.
Civil War. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Salvadorian
I don't want to go there. I don't
I'm
want to go
really
there.
my president is very good, so I'm very proud of him. And
but in another
Now I
show,
can
we're
say that.
willing to go there.
that's a whole nother thing that we're going to do another day. But no, so I did study. So in Dorval, I went to high school and everything, and I was I always wanted to.
What high school did you go to, if you mind me asking?
Jean 23, John 23rd.
Okay.
So yeah, so I grew up there, And I learned about community, and I learned, especially from my neighbors, the Ruberers. For me, they're my adopted grandparents. So they showed my sister and I how to go into the community and be neighborly. They taught me how to take care of dogs. I didn't know how to walk a dog. So the neighborhood itself taught me how to be me. And so that's why when I went to high school, I was part of a lot of committees, and I was always participating in events. And also I was learning how to become a lifeguard. So saving lives have always been my thing. So always saving someone's life, that was programmed in me since day one. And took some leadership courses there too, performed in front of a lot of people from Sec 3 till Sec 5, and even afterwards.
What kind of performances?
I used to sing in front of everybody.
So do you still sing?
I sing, but for myself in the house right now. So I think the neighbors could hear me. And then DG, they're getting to know me in that way. But yeah, so I used to perform, and even before that, I used to always perform in front of my parents, and we'd create concerts. My dad used to put the speakers on and all the lights on us, and we just pretend to be, I don't know, singers and drummers and whatever. We knew every single song, my sister and I. So we grew up with that. So then when I went to high school and they found out that I could sing, the music teacher, Serge, he took me in and he's like, look, you want to perform? And I was like, sure. So that's how people found out what I actually
Shout
love.
out Serge. It's really important to highlight the teachers who take the time to identify talents in their students and then push them in that direction. And any teacher that ever takes the time to do that, it's like the real heroes of society, because let's be honest, sometimes parents miss some of that stuff because they're busy parenting and worrying and wishing everyone becomes scientists and doctors and lawyers with financial security.
Exactly. Also, Anne Sinette and Beau Plesha, my two English teachers, because I went to French school. So my two English teachers, they would create these talent shows, and a lot of the students that were in the English classes, we could actually shine a little bit of our English, I don't know, culture. And so there was, you could either give sing, dance, whatever sketches you did, you could actually perform it. So it was really interesting. And she and them two always wanted me to sing as well. So I was always pushed to sing. And then I always wanted to be a singer. But then my father wanted me to be an architect. Like you were saying, parents want you to be a certain thing. So I was like, yes, I love drawing. I love it. But, I couldn't get into architecture. So I decided to go into communications in Vanier and studied photography, arts, and so on. Remember, it was black and white film, your old black and white films. And I don't know if you ever did that, but I would develop it.
I can picture it from TV.
Are you talking about the chemicals? You mean the
chemicals? Yes.
Being larger? Yeah, I did that.
I loved it.
I did that. Yeah. You would take your photos. This is old school. It
was so much fun. I would spend the whole day there.
You had to develop your negatives, and then you took your negatives and you had them larger, but this was black and white. Color was more complicated, right?
Yeah, they only taught you black and white, so I didn't in the other one. But with all that information, I always knew that I loved art. I love photography. I love music. So when I found out that Travis existed, that's when I said, I'm going to go and do that computer assistant sound design. I had no idea what it was all about. I thought I was just going to be working on the boards and just learning how to set up the instruments and record them. But no, it was even bigger than that. So like we were saying before, we were capturing all the sounds from outside with the boom, It was just so much fun. It was so much fun. And even they taught us how to be managers. So how to manage how do you call that? Like a group or a singer. So it was a whole different experience. I did that. And then couple years, I didn't really do anything because I had to pay back my student loan like everybody else, right? So it was like $15,000 of a student loan. So went into just working, but I knew that I always wanted to do something else. So finally, I found out that I could go and take at the Academy of Design and Technology. There was a course. I thought I only knew about graphic design. So I kept on saying, I want graphic design, but I kept on saying to the people at the school, I want something where I can actually use what I learned at Travis, the sound designing, and because I already know how to use that and put it into images. I want to create the images. So I want to create the films. I want to create the everything. So there was a program called Digital Multimedia Design, and that's how I got into it. Another 15,000. But I know. So I got into that one, but it taught me web designing, graphic design, video editing, and 3D animation, and so on. So it was another great experience for me. And so I did that. That was in 2000. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Before we just move on from that, because you did just say it costs you 30 grand in education to go to these schools that exist today and are viable options. I know at one point I got accepted into Music Technique, which is an alternative to Trebas, but it was $19,500, and I chickened out. Instead of taking the loan, I chose to go down another path because I was scared of taking on that debt. But there's always a part of me that goes, okay, had I done that at 20, would I have made that 20 back and more, kind of thing? Do you feel that it's worth going to these schools and that there's enough job prospects and careers out there that you could capitalize on these skills? I know you can hustle with these skills, but you can also, at this point, learn a lot of that knowledge on the internet.
Yeah, I had the same question because technology evolves so quickly, right? So how's that played out for you? Was that obviously you learn stuff and you feel good about it and you develop personally, that's an experience in itself, but was it a winning proposition for you? I'm curious to know. Yeah.
Well, when I came down, again, it all depends on the situation that each student was living. So some of the students that I was studying with, they got to create their own studios themselves, or they were hired by companies, or they were integrating themselves in a different way. We were told in the beginning, you would have to become a gopher. And what's a gopher? So a gopher is gopher copy, go for this, go for that, do this for free. And that would not have been a good thing for me, because then I would really be broke, right? So my parents were supporting me during that time, and I knew that I had to pay off my loan. So that was not that I couldn't do that. That was in my situation. But for other people, yes, they made it. They even the band members that I used to perform at in Jean 23 in my high school, they're famous. He's one is actually the bass player of Rock Voisin, the other one is the drummer of another band. And they used to perform with me. So it's interesting how, it all depends on the situations. It all depends on what your destiny has for you, right? And yes, you can actually learn a lot of these things through social media, through YouTube and other platforms now. Even TikTok, you can learn a lot of things there. I was looking at all of that. I'm like, So I'm always there to learn. I'm always learning different things. What I did do in 2009, there was a program here in Montreal given by the Opera Québec. It was called, I don't know if it's still called the same, Sage Montréal, and they would actually help people that wanted to start their own businesses by teaching them how to create their own business plans. So, and I had already had some experience of doing business plans because of Trebas taught us how to do that. So it was really interesting, but they took it to another level. So not only were you, if you were accepted into the program, which I was very proud of. And so I actually, I wanted to do it as a web designer, but then they told me, look, there's too many web designers out there. Might as well do it in a different way. So my aunt at that year in 2008 had just passed, and she loved photography. And I was doing, those tribute videos, and it was I was doing those tribute videos, and my father used to teach me how to transfer videos into digital or vice versa. Like I was always with my father learning all these things. And so what happened is I decided to do a tribute for my aunt, and a friend of mine who was part of the committee of the Sage Montagano told me, look, that actually would be a great idea. Try it. And I was just doing it for my aunt, just for me, just for my family, just to share it. And he said that would actually be something good for me, at least for me to get the ball rolling.
It's sellable. It's sellable,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
exactly.
People would pay money for that, right? Especially if it's a departed member and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right?
And at that time it was just starting. And so I created it, cried my eyes up every single time I would replay it, cry. And I noticed that my aunt would barely take pictures of herself. She would always take pictures of everybody, but not of herself. So I had a limited amount of pictures of her. And so when I put everything together and I went to present it, I lost my voice. Thank God my friend was there too. My presentation was doing it all by itself, right? The video was doing it all by itself. But he actually told the committee exactly what I needed to do because I lost my voice completely. It was crazy. And but I also did another video that same night. That's why I lost my voice. So I spent 8 hours doing a video of my Peter Pops. Well, Peter first, right? His niece. So since I had taken pictures of her from day one all the way to the first year, all of the first year of her life, I decided to do a compilation, a tribute to her first year of life.
Mm-hmm.
So I presented both, and that's what got me into Sage Montréal. They taught me how to do the business plan, but to go deep into it. So from the legal to the accounting to every single aspect of what a company was all about. So it was very interesting. I loved it. So they financed me during that time. So it was a very great opportunity that I had. Got my certificate and everything. Was very proud. And
this is one of those programs like I know Quebec launched one recently where you can do geriatric care and they'll pay you to go to school for 3 months to get a degree. Is like one of those kinds of programs?
I think so. Well, for us, it was a year. So they paid for you for a year. So a little bit more than what unemployment was paying me. So first it was unemployment because I had lost my job. So first it was unemployment, and then they would take on.
So the big question was, were you able to make a living by providing the service? So
what happened is, with everything that I learned from Travis, from the academy and everything, during the first couple of years, I had different experiences. I made a little bit of money here, a little bit of money there, but because I had so much debt,
right.
I had so much debt. Whatever I would receive would go into the debt. Go to the debt. I was really not. I at that time the social media wasn't booming at all. It was barely there. And but now I find that you can. Now,
so this is how you're making your living right now.
No, now that's where I'm starting to I'm going to be starting to create my living.
I see.
That
Excellent.
Way. Yes. Yeah.
All I can say is there is 100% a lot of money in everything you just described. Like my man Chris Chrome, who's been on the show one time, he easily can pull 200, 150, 200 on a video, just putting lyrics for a song using like available tech. Now, the other part of what makes the business a lot easier to do in 2024 to encourage people more is your gear don't cost nothing no more. Because back in the day, you'd be looking at potentially thousands of dollars worth of software and a lot of other stuff. Like my video editor is $50. You don't even need more than that. I use Filmora by Wondershare. It does anything you could possibly need unless you're really going into the Adobe world, and then like the sound engineering, you can get Reaper for $60. Like these price points and with the full suite of tools, it never existed back in the day. So the profitability of a business like this lets you charge a lot less, and with AI, it takes a lot less time because what it taking you 40 hours is going to take you 6 now, and it's beautiful. Despite everyone's fear of it, we've been using AI in tools in multimedia production. AI has been around since the 80s. despite what everyone thinks. Like, it's not new. It's just ChatGPT's
I
new.
didn't know that. But it's true. Go ahead.
I gotta get our conversation
I know.
back on the fur balls.
I'm going everywhere.
I do apologize.
Go ahead.
So, but here you are now. You're involved in the community. You're involved in the welfare of our companion animals. How did you get to that? Is that something that's always interested you in your life, or is there some sort of like identifiable point in your life where you really like started getting involved with this? Oh, this is when you moved to NEG to take care of the cats of your friend. We've already heard this basically, right?
But
what's the fuller story? Yeah, like what brought you to this passion point of like, I'm gonna take care of animals in the first place?
Well, my parents, we always had animals. If there was a pigeon that was hurt, my father would go and take it, and we bring it in, and we had the pigeon for 19 years. So I know how to speak pigeon, by the way.
There's a big heart.
Wild.
There's a big heart. So your parents instilled to you for this care.
Yeah,
and this
my parents and my neighbors, the Rubers, they taught me how to take care of animals, also to respect nature, animals, and humans. So it all comes together, and that's part of your community, right?
For
so
sure.
It always came from us. So look, someone couldn't take care of their animal, they would come to the Salazar house and they'd be like, "Can you take care of our dog?" And we'd always have like 4 dogs in our home. And yes, it was illegal to do that at that time, but that's what it was. We always had like multiple dogs that we'd take care of, and they were our children. It was my parents' children and my brothers and sisters. So it was always we would always have animals, especially when we moved to Dorval. We always had them. And when we were in apartments, no, we didn't have any animals. Right. So we weren't allowed, right? But in our home, we had from hamsters to fish. My dad gave CPR to our goldfish, Orange, like twice. Saved him, put all sorts of vitamins in the water.
You can give CPR to a fish?
Yeah, apparently a rock got stuck and he like massaged it out.
Alrighty.
And he saved him. Yeah.
But going on in NEG, right? There exists already a significant network. You're not alone, right? There's a lot of people.
Before we get to the network, let's focus on her journey and then expand to the network.
Alrighty.
I will get to the network. Yeah. So because of the web designing, because I love doing that, I contacted AnyMatch when I was in my 20s, and I offered my services because they were saying, look, in order to get experience, offer your services. So I did that, and I loved animals. So I thought, why not? And Helen gave me an opportunity.
What's AnyMatch?
AnyMatch is a rescue. They rescue dogs, so they place them in adoption. And it's in the West Island mostly, but it's all in Montreal, I guess. But it's well known. It's a very well known organization.
So that's part of the network there that exists out to rescue animals, right?
Because of them, look, when I was starting, they would send me these pictures. They would be like, put all these pictures of the dogs right away, and I didn't know why it was so urgent. And I thought, oh, I have some time. There's no problem. I'll just design it. I'll take my time and put all. And for them, it was like it had to be now. If I didn't put it now, for them, they considered it as if I wasn't allowing these animals to be adopted.
Oh, I see. They wanted them out there as quickly as possible.
Exactly. I didn't understand it because I didn't know the background of a rescue. I didn't know what all of that was about. So all that, I found it to be like, oh, so stressful. Oh my God, why are they so stressed? This is designing, this is programming, and the whole thing.
Right. There's the urgency, right?
But because of them, I learned the reason why. The reason why it was so urgent. And then I went to another rescue and I said, hey, I can offer you a website for you too. And
you're doing this all as a volunteer basis.
I was a volunteer at that time. Yeah.
That's really generous of you.
I was doing it to help out because I loved all these animals, and that's when you go into the rescue network and you see it in a different way, and they teach you the reasons why they're so desperate to get the animals out there, to get the marketing out there. And before social media, it was just a website and your business card, right? And just speaking to people about it.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth, exactly. I forgot the word. So thank you. So then, so because of all these different organizations that I was volunteering, they taught me why was it so crucial to do what they were doing? Why were contracts important? Why were they was there donations needed? Why did the animals have to be sterilized? I didn't. You don't know that in normal life. You don't know all this information. So when rescues are out there asking for help and all of that, I understand it. But normal people that are not part of it, they just don't understand the necessity, the urgency of the whole organization.
Is there a tough? Do the rescue organizations have a tough time placing all the animals they receive? Is it really challenging for them, or is it? Because I know during the pandemic, a lot of people got pets, and then there was a problem with some abandonment happening afterwards. What is the current status right now? Is the system overloaded? Is it manageable? What's your assessment right now?
For what I know,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because in 2015 when I started with the 100 cats,
Right.
I thought it was 20.
Right.
When I started with them, I had placed 10 cats in adoption in one weekend.
Right.
But the honest truth, I didn't do it the right way. I gave them for free. I didn't, they were kittens, most of them. So I just felt the urgency of placing them. And I took pictures of the people with the cats so I can have proof that they, who they were and the whole thing. But then when I went to the SPCA to ask for help, and they said, look, we're booked, we're full, we're getting ready. And that was in 2015 and 2014. We're getting ready for all the abandonments that are going to happen soon for July 1st.
For rent day, yes.
Yeah, and we had started in May. So we contacted organizations were contacting us, and we were contacting them, and they kept on saying, we're full, we can't take your animals. And we thought we only had 20. But even the SPCA, they thought, wow, you placed 10 in adoption in one weekend. That's amazing. Can you come and work for us? And
right.
Because we did flyers, we did all the marketing, we were doing the websites, we were doing everything possible. Word of mouth, like you were saying. I speak to anyone that sees me now. It's almost like I'm saving cats. So
right.
Aware of it. So we did the same thing the other time, but we were actually delivering them ourselves. So anyway, so what happened is that's when I realized that all the rescues are also getting ready for the abandonments that were happening. And during COVID, what happened is because we were, everybody was at home and everybody thinks, now I have time, now I can be with the animal, poor animal, we can't leave them alone in the house. Which is a myth. You can believe me, or else
right.
My parents we always left them in the house, and they would sleep all day. I left them in the house for 12 hours. They slept all day. I even videotaped my dogs just in case.
We grew up with dogs in our apartment, and we just left them there when we left. Like if they're really rambunctious, and I know this might not be encouraged now, but there are solutions like cages or things that you can have to manage the situation if needed, and your animals can survive without you. They're just whiny.
Exactly.
My cats don't need me. Really, they don't need me.
They're like, go away.
I'm expendable.
It's so funny. It all depends on the cat.
They need me more when it starts getting colder. Don't ask me why. They need me for heat. I'm like a heat source to them, right? It's like the Matrix all over again, but the cats are in control, not the robots.
They are in control. Believe me. I think we're all working for our animals, right?
Right.
Touch up, you were saying basically they were really full in 2015, and then it got even fuller over COVID, is what I understood.
During COVID, for what I was hearing is that people were taking, they were adopting more. So they thought, okay, I have the time. You're in the house, you can't go anywhere. You adopt an animal, you can actually spend time with them. But then as soon as COVID lifted, the restrictions lifted, that's when it came, the abandonment started again. And so now we're back to what I heard, we're back to what we used to have in 2014, which was the same issue. Right now, everybody's getting ready for the abandonments to happen. And yet right now, a lot of the animals that are outdoors reproducing are being rescued by the rescues, who are also going to be helping out for the abandoned animals that are going to be left.
When you say rescues, I don't understand. They're being helped by the rescues. You're a rescue?
I'm not an official rescue. I'm just
Right.
rescuing a certain amount of cats from one.
I see.
Right? But
Yeah.
I do help by
You're like a
promoting.
broker.
I am, aren't I? I love marketing. So I'm like, oh, there's another cat. Let me bring it here. Let me send it here. Let me go there. Or a dog or a cat, So I have Helping Kitties and Helping Doggies on Facebook.
I remember.
So just to be clear, like that's like officially like what your thing is. It's called Helping Kitties. That's like your organization.
That is it became an organization in 2024, 2014 and 2015. And then I no longer had any cats to place. Then I used it just to share, just to promote other rescues.
So when I was a kid, right?
Go ahead.
I used to watch, Bob Barker and The Price is Right. And Bob Barker was a significant animal rights activist back in the day.
Oh, I didn't know.
And he always used to end his show by reminding the audience to get their cats and animals neutered, right? Because of the control of population, because to reduce the amount of unwanted pets. Is that still an issue today? Is that still upon? Okay, it is. It hasn't changed that.
Yes, very much so.
Because cats can reproduce rather quickly, can't they? They can have large litters.
Yeah, dogs too.
Yeah, dogs as well, right?
Yeah.
And just like when people just to get a sense of the scope, I believe the last I heard, like the abandonment rate on July 1st, because it might not be the same everywhere in the world, but when let's say 6 to 7 months of your year is all snowy, your moving tends to centralize more in the summer when there's no snow on the ground. So for us, July 1st is what we call moving day, where arguably 80% of people move on that day, whereas the rest of the year, if your lease is not on moving day, it's actually a lot different finding an apartment. There's just way less available. That being said, a lot of people move on July 1st and either cannot find a place that accepts pets or no longer want the pet. All the things happen, and then I think it's something like 50,000 plus cats and dogs get abandoned every year on moving day in Montreal. And that's just Montreal, but that's like...
What's the number?
50,000 plus. It's
Wow.
not a hyperbolic thing, like because you keep in mind there's 2 million people on island, right? And so a number of pets and stuff, like the numbers, and people are very negligent with getting pets. Something I'm passionate about actually, because like I feel really bad for animals because they develop these psychological bonds with you. And it's like the most like terrible thing you can do to something that's growing to trust you, like your kid. You wouldn't abandon your kid because it's inconvenient, but like your animals, while I might make fun of fur parents for calling themselves that, your animals are kind of like kids in that sense. They grow this dependence on you, and to just like throw them away, like it feels wrong to me. Even if life circumstances suck, it's like, yo, you shouldn't have got that if you weren't planning for the contingencies of what could happen, because it's like a 20-year investment. An animal, I mean, cats and dogs at least. Like, fine, hamsters are a little more short term, but like, you shouldn't. Anyway, so I get really passionate, and the numbers are that staggering. So like, it's just kind of like something that I don't think people consider, and I don't know why people get pets if they're not prepared for it. Like, I don't get it at all.
So what I've experienced during my own adoptions and rescuing that I did for the 100 that I placed. Some people have really good intentions. Their intentions are good. They get the kitty, they buy all the new stuff for the kitty, and they're so excited and the whole thing. And but what they don't understand is not all the cats will actually be the same. So sometimes they feel that they have to overdo it. Okay, oh my God, I have to vaccinate like crazy, and it's like $300 of this and then $300 of that, and it has to be super clean for the cat, and it has to be super clean for everything. So they get into this mode of over obsessing over the need of what, because society tells you you have to do all these things. For me, I always tell them, look, as long as there's food, there's litter, okay, if you can only afford one vaccine, great. But if they're sterilized, even perfect. But cats are very easy to keep, and then especially when they have one, they're overdoing it with that little kitty, right? And then when I tell them you can actually get a second one, and they think, no, my God, that's too much work. It's a lot. So their intentions are good, but they overanalyze it. And cats are super easy to deal with. Even dogs are super easy to deal with. I used to vaccinate my dogs like crazy. I used to do the whole thing until one of my dogs got sick from a vaccine, and he started losing all his hair and the whole thing. And I asked the vet, hey, this could be a reaction from the vaccine? And they couldn't tell me if it was or not. So for years, my poor dog had to go through all these problems with his skin and everything until his last days. And nobody could tell me what was wrong with him. But you see, none of my other dogs have ever died because they, I have a 12-year-old and he's fine. And he got one vaccine, got sterilized, and he's fine. You can, if you can do the best that you can for your animal, as long as it's protected, it has a loving home, it has food in his bowl, clean water, shelter. That's all an animal wants. A dog needs to be walked 100%. Pee pads, sorry, in my opinion, even talking to trainers and stuff, it's not the best solution because animals need to get their energy out, especially dogs and cats too. They love to run around and everything, but dogs need to socialize. They need to be out. They need to, even for yourself, it's really important to do that. So I walk like
Actually,
2 to 3 times a day.
Just to touch on what you're saying about it being overwhelming, my man Chris Chrome's in the comments over on Twitch saying he's been looking for help trying to deal with getting the cats their shots, because when you do Google this information and you do set out to find it for the first time at least, it's super overwhelming, especially in a world of veterinarian offices competing with each other with SEO, and everything that you were doing for those not-for-profits is stuff people are doing for the veterinarian offices in a more capitalistic point of view. So it's actually really hard to be like, where do I go to not get ripped off, to not spend a crazy amount of money, because it's a little gambling when you don't know what you're doing. And so you're bringing up some really good points where I think people do underestimate the challenges, and that is fair enough. It's an unfortunate reality, I guess. And so what ends up happening then? These cats and stuff get abandoned, and then they're out in the wild. And then how does the rescues actually come into the picture, and what is that side of it all like?
For what I've because I'm always in social media and talking to all these people that are volunteers at the rescues, or even they own the rescue. They what I've seen is that the ones that the TMR. So whenever there's a colony of cats that are created because of maybe 2 cats that were left outside and they weren't sterilized and they just procreated with the ones that were outside, and then they have 6 little kittens and so on, right? So a lot of these rescues, what they do, some of them capture them and get them sterilized themselves, get them vaccinated and dewormed and just checked out, and then placed again. Sometimes you can actually rehome them, get them adopted. Some of them are very feral, so they bring them back. But that the SPCA does that too. So
feral, just so people know, feral means the
yes.
cat's essentially wild, right? It's
they're the ones that they won't adapt as easily as a cat that was already indoors. So it's a cat that was raised outside. The mother taught the cat, the babies, how to protect themselves, who to trust, what not, how to hunt, and so on. Because the mother, it takes. I kept. I kept Luna. Luna was one of the cats that gave birth in my cupboard, and I didn't know she was pregnant. And she gave birth to 3 kittens, and I left her to do whatever she needed to do with her kittens for her to tell me when she was ready to let them go. It took her about 4 months for her to completely do everything for her kittens. She taught them how to eat, clean, to respect their environment, and so on. They learned from Luna. And so then it was easy for me to rehome these kittens because they were already taught by their mom. The cats that are feral, the ones that are outside, they teach their babies that, how to survive in the wild, how to hunt, and where to protect themselves, who to trust and who not to trust. So the ones that are, when you say feral, are the ones that will not be touched. They will hide. You won't even see them. They're really, hiding and everything. So that's when they place, when the rescues place cages outside. It's they cover them and they put food in them, and then they wait. And these women and men, they wait for hours outside in the cold for one cat to go in. They close the cage, they put it in another cage, and then they bring them to the vet, and so on. So it's a big job that they do. I've never done that myself, but that's
I never really thought about it, because.
But why is it important? Can I ask? I'm just gonna ask the question, right?
Sure.
Why is it important that these cats be retrieved and taken out of the wild? They seem to be self-sufficient. I'm just asking that question. I'm curious.
The reason why they're doing that, I'll say we, okay, because I share a lot. So the reason why that is important is because we need to sterilize them.
To keep the animal population under control.
Exactly, because not only are they getting sick, they're getting other animals sick.
Okay.
If they're healthy, then might as well and they're healthy and they're friendly, we can rehome them into a home that will take care of them, and they'll be pampered and everything, right? If they're too feral, too wild, then at least they're sterilized. You bring them back to where they were brought up. They know the location, other people might be feeding them, and so on. So they know the area, they feel safe there, but at least they're sterilized, and they will not, when a female goes into heat, she will be, there will be tons of multiple males that will want to mount her, and it could be very stressful for her, even stressful apparently for the males, because they're going into heat, they're going into the hormones and everything, and so there's fights that happen with the males. The female might try to defend herself too. They get hurt, they get scratched. So it's not the best environment, like the best life ever, but that is what they do. Even inside, if you have too many cats, like in the situation where I'm at, that I'm taking care of, too many, they're not sterilized, they're procreating, you need to separate them. And then when you do separate them and the males are all together, their hormones are really strong if they're not sterilized, so they start spraying. So the spraying, when people go, oh, it stinks and everything, that is a spraying. That's not urine. It's another kind. It's like it's a different kind of liquid that comes out from them. It's because they're territorial. Mm-hmm. And so they're saying, this is my territory. If another cat comes in, another male comes in, it could be a fight. So the more that the animals are sterilized, the less problems that there will be for populations, the less animals are going to be sick. And at the same time, less stress for the animals too. It's a plus, because
also,
like it or not. So sorry, go ahead.
Just to add to that, right? Like, cats are an invasive species despite our love of cats. Like, when they are out in the wild, right? Like, the way ecosystems work, there's the natural ecosystem, and then you have the serial killers known as cats. And it's not, this is, whether or not anyone wants to admit it, cats murder everything they can for the joy of it. They're not even hungry half the time. They just there's a lot of articles on this. Like, I think cats murder like 3 billion birds not for food a year in the United States. So that being said, if we do let cat populations kind of go out of control, which is partly why there's so much effort put on this, it could really wreck the natural ecosystem, which is full of things like squirrels, and I think there's like 15 kinds of birds in NDG alone, and
squirrels. Cats don't attack squirrels. They're too big. I'll tell you that much. I've never, I've rarely seen a cat catch a squirrel and get away with it without getting scathed. I will say tough, that cats are natural born killers. This is true. Yes.
Yeah, they're hunters.
And at the very least, they will wreck the bird population of your local area, which will...
That's why you got to overfeed them. You get them fat.
But not only that,
but less mobile. But I will say that I have 2 cats, and Holden touches on something that's real in my experience. I have 2 cats, and I have Titus, which is a black cat, and he kills to eat. He'll eat what he kills. Shark, the other cat, which is my daughter's cat, from BC, he'll just kill stuff for killing it. He'll play with it until it dies. And, and I always have to be like, hey, don't do that. I was going to be pulling the local wildlife out of his mouth and say, let that go. And they're not dead. They're a bit banged up. But they're a bit banged up, but they fly away, right? So, okay, you can fly away. That's a good sign. And that is a reality, yeah. And that is why I think a lot of people, rescuers and people in the in the, how do you say, I don't want to call it the industry, but in the domain, I'll say the domain, encourage people to keep their cats indoors. And there's the added element that there's also wildlife out there that eats cats, right? And then there's the traffic, the cars and all that stuff. So but what do you feel about that? Because I own it. I went up to it. Hello, everybody. I let my cats outside, right? I just can't.
You're so brave to say it. You're so brave.
I can't. I don't have the heart to, coop them up in the house all the time. I feel they need to go outside. Mind you, they're pampered and they don't go far from the house. And I'm watching them, right? Am I watching them? Closely? No. I won't admit to that, but that's
go everywhere.
That's a choice I've made, right? Maybe it's a wrong choice. Why don't we talk about that? What do you feel about me saying that?
Yeah,
and I let my cats outside. And I want to know what you think about that.
Personally, for myself, I know that for the cats that I've actually rescued, because they're indoor cats, I don't want them to go outside because they don't know how to defend themselves like that. Mm-hmm. So I make sure that the ones that are coming from me, they will be indoor cats only, because of how they were brought up. I don't want to put them in a situation where they have to fight with the neighborhood cats and whatever, and the traffic and the cars, and they've never seen all of that. So that is something that I'm very strong with. It means a lot to me because of that. I have neighbors from Dorval, from here, from NDG, from different places. They do leave their animals out, their cats out.
I don't leave them out. I let them outside. They come back.
Just
so we're clear on the subject, right? I don't throw them out and go out of bed, buddy.
No. No, but I know what you mean. But I mean, it's.
There are people that give their cats complete free reign, and then it is unsupervised. Like, the cat could go away for 3 days, come back when it wants, and it's just implied that this is a part-time indoor, part-time outdoor cat.
Exactly, that happens too. As long as you're aware that your cat, if it's a kitten and has no idea how to defend itself outside because you just got the kitten, you're like, oh, it's so cute, it's gonna know what to do. An animal doesn't know how to deal with cars going, the motorcycles, the bikes, the kids on the sidewalks going crazy, even my dog, I have to train my dog to accept all these different circumstances. He sees it and it happens. Summer comes and everybody goes even more bananas outside, right? Winter, it's slower. In winter they have to deal with the big machines, the trucks that are cleaning the sides, so there's so much for them to go through. So I find that if a cat was already feral, it'll be easier for them to explore because they know how to defend themselves, how they already know how to do it. But a cat that has no idea and there's no guidance from another cat saying, hey, I'll show you the ropes, I find that it would be a bit cruel to do that, or very cruel to do that. I had a neighbor who he was super sweet, and his cat would follow him. He would go on his skateboard, and the cat would follow him crossing the street and the whole thing. And I would tell the guy, look, your cat is following you. He's still a kitten. He doesn't know that by following you, he can get hit by a car if you don't see that he's actually behind you, and because the guy didn't know. So there's people that have this mentality that it's free and everybody's going to take care of my cat. No, not everybody will. And also, yes, they're hunters, right? Yes, they are. But again, we have to remember that there's people that leave poison for the wildlife. So for mice, for all these other animals that they don't want to have around them, they leave them. So the animal ingests it, right? So they eat it. And then when your cat goes to attack or whatever, it bites it or eats it, or it gets that same poison because it's a poisonous animal that they just ingested. So, and that's when a lot of people take their cats to the vet, or, oh my God, something's wrong. And it's because of, we don't know what the other animal had in them. So those are things that I've been learning during the years of sharing with about the other rescues. They've been teaching me what is out there. Why is it that we have to really take care of our animals when they're outside? I'm always, when I'm walking with my dog, when I first got to NDG, I had people telling me, oh, I'm so happy you have this dog because he's a big Dogo Argentino, right? Oh, now he can kill all the squirrels. And I said, hell no. Oh, no. I love animals in general. I've saved 2 squirrels myself. No. So I taught my dog to sit, and you can watch the squirrels, but we respect them. Because imagine having a big dog running after the squirrels. It's really dangerous for everybody.
When I was young, my dog used to love to run after the animals, but not to eat them or anything. She just used to love to sniff them and just be like you're my new best friend. And these poor animals, because as much as you watch your dog gonna find a bird one day, and you're gonna be like, how did you get this bird on the ground? Where did this bird even come from? And then you're like, don't kill it. And then you're like, obviously this dog, she was super friendly. She just wanted to make friends with all the wildlife in the neighborhood, but I could see how other dogs might feel differently. Yeah,
and so the neighborhood kept on telling me, I'm so happy he can kill all the squirrels. And that's when I realized that people were actually, catching squirrels and relocating them somewhere else. And I had no idea where they were relocated to. So because of their gardens, they don't want them to get into their tomatoes and so on, right? So
the squirrels do be going into people. We used to feed the birds. We fed the birds and put peanuts on the balcony, and then the squirrels would come for the peanuts. But then the squirrels would go bury the peanuts in my neighbor's arugula plants or whatever on his balcony. And he cornered me one day, and he's like, "You guys are ruining." And I'm like, "Oh, the squirrels." So we have to now watch to make sure squirrels don't come if we feed the birds.
But saying that, right? Look, I like all animals. I saved a kit of squirrels. The mother was attacked. We had a raccoon, believe it or not, in my neighborhood.
Oh, nice.
We had a raccoon. No, well, wait. Wait for it. We had a raccoon in our neighborhood that developed a taste for squirrel.
Oh, no.
Yes, and it got the mother. So I saved the kits, and there is a whole network out there of people who save squirrels, right? I don't know if it's a whole network. But what do you say about the whole idea that here we are, right? We're living in an urban environment, and one of the things that we lack in this urban environment, right, is things that eat squirrels. there's not birds of prey or what eats squirrels. That's a big question I have to ask, because what I have to say is that we have a lot of squirrels in NDG, and they're very well fed. And I will say, and I will go on to say that I know a lot of gardeners who, who are not cruel people, but will say, look, we have a squirrel population problem just as much as, you're complaining before about how cats, you got to neuter them because you got to control their population. We don't really have a check and balance in our environment, the urban environment, as it relates to squirrels. So what do we do about that? What do you say? Do we need to bring in some coyotes? And the problem is when we start bringing in foxes and coyotes that maybe
then you bring in more invasive species.
Yeah, but the coyotes and foxes, they also feed on cats and dogs, right?
In Dorval, that's what we have. Yeah.
So
these foxes
it's kind of this
legit,
weird.
Foxes are around this area, so like at least they're kind of native, and maybe foxes could be a solution because there's a lot of foxes in Montreal.
There's a lot. When I go up Mount Royal, up to the mountain really early in the morning, you see them skedaddling all over the place. But then we arrive in this kind of weird space, right? Like mindset. Like people love animals. I love animals. I want to protect them. I want to save them. I don't want my cats hunting the local wildlife. I want them to say, hey, you got your food. It's in this bowl. Leave that stuff outside. Done. But at the same time, when we start having conversations about predators that eat squirrels and stuff like that are part of the natural environment, but then it becomes a problem for our companion animals, then it becomes an issue. I just find it it's kind of like contradictory and hypocritical. Like, where do we draw the line? We're not going to let the environment that we live in reach a natural level of balance that now it starts impacting our pets, right? Do you understand where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
I don't know, how do we address that as a community, right? As a city, it's a tough one. It really is, right?
It is.
We provided a lot more food to the squirrels because, like you were like,
and to the raccoons.
And the raccoons. They're all nice and
raccoons
fat.
do eat squirrels, though.
And the groundhogs. I have 2 groundhogs live in my backyard, man. It's they're out there. They're really nice and big. They're very plump.
Nice.
And I have I got the, how do you say, apocalyptic kind of arrangement with them, okay, you can eat my garden. I'm not going to say anything, but, if society should collapse or stuff like that, things kind of get tight around here.
I got you.
I gotcha, right? And that's the deal, right?
As you're saying that, right? We kind of did that a bit too. We gave all these animals this extra food that wouldn't have been there. Not to say that they wouldn't have been fed, but we kind of created restaurants for the animals.
My kale, it's gone.
You grow all
no
this
kale
stuff.
in my garden. It's all done.
I've seen raccoon, there's the raccoon, and it will every year, twice a year, climb up to the 3rd floor where the trees are at, go to the squirrel's nest and eat all their stuff, and you better not be there, squirrel. It's not going to be good for you if you're there.
No, it's not. No, and forget about growing cucumbers, That's for squirrels, that's truffles on pasta with marinara sauce, you're not going to have any of those left. So, but I don't get upset about it. I'm it is what it is. But I think it opens a conversation that we all need to have, about the natural environment. We all want that, right? Why can't an urban environment
to bring it into the question, how do we manage the natural wildlife as a whole? Because we do put all this effort into cats, but then we don't do nothing for squirrels and other animals. And yes, cats are invasive, squirrels are natural, fine, but it's still at a macro level a problem of too much population. And then how do we deal with that as a society? And is there a plan, or is this even a conversation in the animal rescue world? I mean, to deal with squirrels and other types.
Well, here's a comment. Actually, a comment came up.
Yeah.
And someone is asking
I'm interested.
About squirrel bisque. Squirrel recipes.
No,
No.
Seriously?
No, it's a joke.
I was I did not see that.
Barbecue. That's so mean.
Well, I'm not suggesting that we should be doing that. But I just thought it was kind of funny, right? But yeah, back on Holden's comment about the overpopulation of squirrels. No, I think what we need to get some predators in the mix, and
well, they do exist.
But the problem is that the problem with that is that we've had incidents in Montreal where there's been coyote sightings, right? and then people become concerned about their own kids when
Yeah.
there's coyotes like popping around, right?
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's not an easy, it's not an easy thing, right?
It's the only dog that's not on
I think I would freak out a little bit if I'm walking up and there's just a random coyote in NDG. That feels scarier than maybe it should be, but it doesn't feel the safest for me.
Yeah, I've run into coy wolves. You know what a coy wolf is? It's a mix of a coyote and a wolf, and they can be like you have to watch those ones because they're
here.
what's that? Not
Here
here.
in
No. In
Oh.
the Laurentians.
I was like, oh,
And you got to be careful with them because they could be problematic, right? They're smart and they supposedly don't have the fear of man the same way wolves or coyotes do, and it causes it causes a little stress within the population. But my general like experience being someone who go through the bush off trail. And I will tell you that I've never had an instance running into a bear, because I have run into bears or into wolves or coyotes. They don't want anything to do with us, right? They see us, boom, they're gone. And so I'm not really someone who fears these animals. I think the problem is that when you start having coyotes or you're having these predators and they start getting into our waste or garbage, and that's where the problem starts, right? Because then it's an easy free meal for them. No. I don't want them eating my garbage. I want them to be feeding on other interesting things.
But that's very interesting.
I won't mention who those things are because I'm gonna be like attacked publicly, right? As some kind of hater.
All the comments are gonna
Not my pets, of course. Not my furry
said it,
friends.
Alex. You already said what you want the coyotes to do. It's been said on this podcast.
But I also like birds of prey. Birds of prey. Like, have you seen like
there's owls and stuff in the
eagles? Yeah. Owls. I don't know about owls. I don't.
No,
I've
there
never
are
seen an owl.
100%. You can hear them at night.
There's
so
bats.
Like you can hear. No, but you can hear the owls.
You can hear the owls.
100%. They might not be as easy to spot, but you can hear the owls in NDG, so they exist.
I've never seen an owl in NDG. No, we have lots of cardinals.
But are you listening for them?
Am I listening for them? I can't say that I'm really
listening.
Are you like familiar with
owls.
all the bird calls? Because I know bird people, and bird people be knowing things because they're just like, that's and then they're like, fair enough.
I don't have that talent.
See,
one of the talents I have not developed. Maybe I need to spend more time.
3 kinds of woodpeckers. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, there's definitely.
We have woodpeckers. I've seen woodpeckers. We have the large ones here.
Yeah, but those are all the daytime birds, right?
Yeah.
So
those are the ones that are telling.
Right.
Those are the ones telling us the tree's gonna fall soon.
Yeah.
Those are the ones warning us before it happens, and then when it happens, it's during those storms, and you're like, "Damn it, I should have known." But but if you follow the animals, the animals tell you. But yeah, it's very interesting what you're saying about the balance of nature, right? I didn't think about the overpopulation of the squirrels. I do love them. I talk to them. I'm like, squirrely, because that's how I do it with my dog. I'm like, oh, look, a squirrely. So, and he just watches them. But yeah, well, even in Dorval, we have now we have a lot of the lièvres, those wild rabbits. So we have those.
Hares.
Those are back now. Yeah,
hares.
They're back now. They're so cute, but they're back. We didn't have them for a long time.
Yeah, and I've seen dragonflies. Excuse me, but we got dragonflies back in NG because the pesticide use has gone down, and I've seen hummingbirds and in the city, and that is
beautiful.
New. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's awesome. But
the cats are really excited about that one.
Yeah.
They're like, another toy.
Kills me.
I know everything's a toy for them. I know it
kills me.
I know, but it's nature. Like, whatever happens, happens. But you see, the worst is the humans, I find, because I've seen people just as soon as they see a cat or a squirrel or even a raccoon in the street, they just slam on they keep on rolling their car even faster just to hit it.
It's sad.
And
that's sad.
That's really
that's some fuckery. for
Yeah,
lack of
and
a better word.
I've seen it, and they actually say, well, one less, and so those are the things that I'm against, and that's why I like protecting the cats that are not used to it, used to being outside, because you don't know if it belongs to someone. And anyways, any animal just doesn't deserve to die that way.
No, it doesn't. No.
No.
No. And saying that about squirrels, like I said, I saved, a nest.
I know. Look at you saving all these
and
squirrelians.
I saved baby raccoons, and like I found there's
Oh,
up in the Laurentians, there's a refuge pour les ratons laveurs.
oh,
So
nice.
I was involved in that. And and the thing that really excites me is you see the snapping turtles, right? Have you ever run into the snapping turtles in the Laurentians and Amherst in that area? They're out
Yeah,
there, and it's just
really.
I actually will stop my
So
truck with my
just
son, and we'll block the traffic and make sure it crosses. It's like each of these little micro things we do is beneficial to the environment, but the environment, like I said,
the
right?
thing, I guess, it's
Squirrels
because
can be
like,
very tasty to certain things, right? And we need to respect that too, right? Go ahead there, Holden.
but
Sorry.
yeah, just to like bring it up though, like if you do want to bring species in, it has to be native species, or it will, because like as much as we love cats, it's not actually nature for them to be going hard on the birds in this area.
No.
It's like it's nature in the sense that that's what cats do, but I don't think cats come from this continent inherently. I'm pretty sure they're from the other continents. So like,
Well, there are native cats to our environment, and there is a
right,
small
like
North American native cat, but
with the
not
lynx, I
not in the
think.
numbers that we have, because we're all like, just imagine we're subsidizing all our cats, right? We're feeding them, so it's like we're subsidizing this predator, right? And we keep the population levels high because they have these sources of food that we are personally providing them. So it knocks off the balance of nature. So you're absolutely correct. Yes.
It's coming from Steve Novak in the comments, who's like, it's kind of like, because I think some of the times the problem with the conversation of pets is we love animals so much that we become a little irrational discussing it. Like,
Yes.
in a slightly unrelated thing, but still related, like, there's a real boar problem in North America. Canadian boars are invading the States, and it's causing this is a real thing, you can Google it. It's been happening for about 8 or 9 years. We have passed the point of critical mass. In fact, if we went to war with the boars right now, we'd lose like the way Australia lost when they fought the birds. Because the boars are there, and now we've created this problem.
I thought Australia was rabbits, not wasn't it rabbits?
They have
Rabbit
an official
infestation?
war with the emus or something. Like there's some bird that the Australian government, it's got a wiki page and shit. They went to war officially with these birds on 2 separate occasions and lost.
Is it the
Full-on military camp.
okay, right. I have heard. Holden is correct. I have heard that because Australia is kind of like this independent continent, detached from all the other continents. They have a really unique group of species. Like the fauna is very unique there, and when you have
Yeah.
these invasive species walk in, they can really muck it up really quickly.
Wow.
And rabbits is one, I know that, but I really can't speak to the emu.
I don't know if it's that bird. I know it's a bird.
I think they're trying to save
like,
the emu.
but we're
I think they're
talking
trying to
like
save it.
1918, right? Like this
Yeah.
isn't like a recent thing. This is
No.
like a back in the day thing that they did.
But you
It's
hear,
like a,
yeah, but you hear about these invasive species issues all over the place. It's like pythons in Florida. Then you have carps, Asian carps that have infested the waters of southern United States. You had zebra mussels in Canada, right? It's happening all over the place, right? This invasive, even we had an invasive seaweed plant from Asia that's starting to like choke our lakes here in Quebec. It's a big, big problem, right?
Wow.
So
and it just
yeah,
sucks
nature
because
is a weird thing,
all
right?
of this is human made stuff. Because you got to keep in mind, like we know all this stuff now, but like, and it's even true of trees. Like believe it or not, we've done so many terrible choices with the biodiversity of trees. Like when you see like 8 cool trees in a row, chances are that's invasive tree species and stuff to that effect that were imported back in the day and planted for the sake of looking cool. But like none of the bugs want to eat that tree or whatever they're supposed to be doing because it's not like a proper tree. So like when you're really looking into it, like people have really interfered heavily with nature. So we've created this problem, and there's not really good solutions because a lot of the times the good solutions is culling. Like which is not what anyone wants. Like, like as an example of a high-profile case, Google the Botswana elephant situation, where the Botswanian prime minister was threatening to send 20,000 elephants to Germany over laws they're passing to limit the import of trophy hunting, because Botswanian elephants have taken over, and in some cases, there's more elephants than people in an area. Which
Well,
is
the news just today. The news was how they want to do a call of deer in the east end of Montreal. There's too many deer, right? And they had a big scandal out in the West End. Remember, they took them. Remember, you are you familiar with that, Alicia? There was a call. They want to do a call of deer in the West End, and concerned residents took the city to court to try to block them, and the court said no.
Really? No, I didn't
That
know
was
that.
all over the news for a while. So we have those issues here too. Yeah, yeah.
and like,
I hear you.
and it's like, it's a weird one, because
Thank you.
like, if you do not deal with that, you have even more unintended consequences that come from nature because of overpopulation. And I don't know, maybe having too many deers does create like a bigger issue that we're unaware of, and the more humane thing is to go deal with deers.
That's the solution. It's wolves.
But in most cases, bringing more animals in to deal with other animals historically has proven to be a giant failure. It often just
how is that a failure? Wolves,
because now you bring
deer.
in
That's what they do.
Because you bring in a bunch of wolves that weren't maybe supposed to be here, and now you end up with too many wolves.
There was
And
wolves
then
here
Yes.
before. The reason why the wolves are
changing
here
the
is because the
density,
deer.
Alex. But you're changing the density of the wolves when you interfere with it.
Yeah, but I that's a ridiculous statement on my part. I own that, because you can't really have wolves in an urban environment. That is just too much. Wolves are not to be, tampered or played with. These are serious animals, right?
Yeah.
But I guess, I wanted to, this is a really good conversation, but I want to give a shout out to people in NEG, and I want to say thank you, because, I remember when I was a young man in NEG, there was a pretty big problem with waste management as it related to dogs, right? People weren't being responsible with their dogs, and they were defecating on people's lawns. And I remember, like, there were spots in NEG, like, for example, the old location of the Mackay Center, which was on Prudhomme, that the Mackay Center's lawn was just it was just horrendous, right? It turned into an open toilet, right? And I want to thank NEG, because really I see that the attitude has completely changed. People have, for the most part, have embraced the fact that they're responsible for managing the waste of their dogs. And I don't see, very, very rarely do I ever see someone who has a dog who does not curb their pet. Is that the right way to say it? And so I want to say big thank you, because the dog population's gone up, and that's, people want companion animals. I think that's driven also by the fact that a lot more of us are living alone, and it's a human need to have company, right? To have a connection with something living.
Yeah.
And in spite of that, I can't say that actually the neighborhood's gotten cleaner rather than dirtier as relates to dog waste. Would you agree with that statement?
You're saying to me?
Yeah, talking to you.
I still see some stuff.
Right.
I walk my dog all the time, and I'm constantly, I am like you're saying, I'm proud of the people that are being responsible, because it makes the rest of us look good.
But there's still scoffles, is what you're saying.
Yes, and I sometimes, when I have enough plastics,
right,
I pick up after.
Oh, I would never do that. That's why I don't own a dog.
People's dog poop?
I can't do that.
I do sometimes, because I know that at one point, because the people that don't own dogs, and they are already very picky about the dogs going on their lawn, or the dogs going out, even in the lanes, between the buildings. There's some people that don't like that. So when people that don't own dogs are walking through the lanes or with their children are playing, and then suddenly, the kid falls and it falls close to something that's not really good. It really makes an impact the
Listen,
the
having
situation.
dog poop everywhere is gross and doesn't make your city fun. If you have a
No.
dog pick up
I
your
used to
poop,
cut
Even
grass.
for myself, I have
I used to
yeah.
cut grass for like as a kid. I used to make money. It was before all the big lawn care care companies showed up.
Yeah.
As a kid, we used to push a lawnmower around and collect
Yeah.
10, $15. And the worst thing was running over a turd with
Oh
your
yeah.
lawnmower. Like,
Or just
why
stepping on
would
it.
anybody expose? Yeah, it's worse. Lawnmower, you roll over it, it gets caught in the blade, it mixes it all up and shoots it out
Oh,
of it. And then
nasty.
it's just like it's been sitting in the sun for a couple days,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's just the nastiest thing that could happen to you. And
Yeah.
I just, from that day on, I've had like, if it had like trauma,
But it is.
PTSD, and
Yeah.
yeah, and but I will say that I had an incident at EG where I was driving along and I saw a guy. It was right outside, believe it or not, the doors of Loyola Concordia University. The main doors, and it was a bus shelter, and some guy, his dog was relieving himself in a major way,
Oh,
and the dog got up and he walked away. And I looked at him
oh,
and said, "Aren't you going to pick up after your dog? That's absolutely disgusting, right?"
yeah.
And he kind of like
Roll his eyes.
he gave me the how do you say, the look to tell me to go,
What?
politely go fly a kite. And right in front of him was a police officer, and I stopped and I told the police, this guy's dog just and the police officer. And I noticed the police officer, when I was a young kid, the police officers would say, "Hey, look, I have better things to do with my time than deal with like
Yeah.
but no, this police officer was on it right away. He says, you go pick up your," and he fined him,
Yeah.
gave him a ticket.
Oh wow.
And I see that change in attitude. So I think that's a good thing. And then
That's good.
you're a dog owner, you picked up after another dog,
I
because
dog sit.
it reflects poorly on the dog owner community as a whole, right?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
That's right. And people that don't like the dogs to go on their lot, I completely understand it.
Mhm.
But they put these little signs, and
Yeah.
I respect those. I love seeing that, so I know where I can actually let my dog walk,
Right.
because yes, most dogs don't like relieving themselves on the sidewalk, which I don't like it either, because
Right.
if people leaves to pick it up, it's people
tough.
will step
Yeah,
on
because
whatever's
scrape the
left over.
fingernails against the
Oh
hard
my God,
pavement. Yeah.
yes. So I like leaves,
Yeah.
and I like. Why are we talking about that? No, but no, but yes, that's why whoever does not want their a dog to relieve themselves on their lot, just put a little sign saying no dog.
I don't have that. I don't mind as long as they pick up after the dog, but that's a caveat, right?
Yeah, but
Because I don't want to be picking up after. And you know what? I have never picked up a turd off my lawn. And I know there's lots of owners that I see them come to the dog, they pee, because I'd be a hypocrite if I told people I don't want your dog on my lawn, because my cat goes
it's
outside, right?
everywhere.
Yeah, so who am I? So
your cat
I have
probably
to.
goes to the cats probably be using the child sandboxes
Sandbox.
as
That's right.
Yeah, it's the cleanest place to go.
No, he goes in the neighbors. I have my neighbor's a prize
right,
gardener.
because you're a little far from a sandbox. Your cats, that's a big trek.
And they go into my neighbor's property, and she's not happy. But it's the same. She has this love and hate relationship. She loves the cat. She gives them attention. She pets them, but she doesn't want them relieving themselves in their garden, right? So we all, to a certain degree, suffer
that's
this, right?
the thing about it. The other thing about like cats too is with dogs, right? You have leashes and regulations, and technically they all get chipped. And technically, cats are all supposed to get registered and chipped, but most cat people are like, I'm not doing that. That's not happening. And then they just don't, because they're cats. And should cats be allowed to roam? If dogs are controlled and regulated, should we be letting it? Just because, given the conversation, if we can address that there is an invasive species problem with cats, it throws off the ecosystem. And apparently cats be getting it on, and it's a problem, and we're not dealing with that. So whether or not we like this idea, there's too much human negligence in this equation to fully ignore this as a topic, because your taxes, Alex's favorite subject, your taxes are going to deal with this. Valerie has something like $500 million allocated for this over the course of the next few years to deal with animal abandonment. So you're paying for this problem too. It's not just like some random thing.
Well,
Like
we're paying not just for abandonment. We're paying for dog parks, right? There's a lot of dog parks in the NEG, right? But you know what?
Fair.
Dog owners pay city taxes, right?
And they get registered, and whereas cat owners skirt that responsibility heavily.
The city has to design infrastructure around the needs of the requests of the citizens, right? And there's a lot of demands for dog parks, right? Dog runs. I don't know. I don't want to get in that debate because I'm biased, right? I have 2 cats, and I don't really think cats are a threat or a menace to anybody from a physical security issue. I think the biggest argument against cats being for leashing or not letting cats outside is for environmental concerns that we discussed earlier, and those are valid concerns. So
was why I brought it up, because it isn't about like human safety where dogs. That's why we are so heavy about it. Like everyone remembers how sensationalized the pit bull scandal was.
Right.
But then you get, to be fair, I'm not pro. I was very against what they wanted to do with pit bulls. I'm all about responsible dog owners, not.
I'm not for breed specific legislation, no. But I will say this. Yeah, but I will say this. You know what breed of dog is responsible for the most of biting people? Like, is Labradors. It's Labradors.
Oh, Labradors?
Yeah.
I like Labradors a lot, though.
Because I think there's so many Labradors. It's just a question of so many Labradors.
I'm sorry. You know what's happening though? It's that they're so cute. They're so cute, and people think of them as like any dog, even my dog. They think of them as a toy, like it's a teddy bear. It's so cute, right? Even a cat can attack you. Sorry, you grab my Himalayan like this, he'll be like, rah, right?
Yeah, but you got to grab it.
And
you got a little cut there from the cat,
right? So and we're not trained. We're not trained to respect them. We're not trained to notice their body. The body is telling you something. The way they look at you, the way their tail moves. From cats to dogs, they all have a way to express to let you know I'm not okay with this. But most of us humans don't train our children or don't train ourselves to know that. We don't even know it unless you get a good trainer to tell you have to look at this, right? That's something that, I have a big dog. I have to make sure that my dog's not going to be reactive to certain things. He doesn't like all the people that he encounters. He likes most of them. He doesn't like all the dogs that he encounters. He likes most of them. So that's when you have to actually go into the energy of the situation. Also, whatever the human is thinking, the animals perceive. It's because they're living in the now, right? So being in the now meaning that they're completely in tune with their energy. So they know what you're already feeling before you even know it. So that's why, when people go and they want to grab the animal and they want to grab the face and they're like, it's so cute. I say no. Because you don't.
I never do that to a dog I don't know, by the way, because I've been bit. My brother has been bit. I've encountered dogs, quite frankly, that shouldn't be in my opinion, should not be in residential areas with kids. So, and I'm not faulting the owners. Maybe I could, but maybe just an animal.
Honestly,
dogs could they're big animals. They could take down a child easily.
But yes, there's gonna be the random dog that maybe has some issues, but most of the time it is the fault of owners not doing their due diligence with training, because dogs, for the most part,
I don't know enough about dogs to make a statement like that, so that's why I'm not making it.
I lived with dogs a lot of my life, and there wouldn't be trainers in this whole industry of things. It's just that people, or even you can go on YouTube at this point and learn a lot about your dog's body language and stuff, but people don't want to put that work in, because training your dog is stupidly time consuming. I remember watching my dad train the dog, and we're talking hours and hours of sit, sit, and then you got to give them the treats and then train them to do without the treats. And it's like a whole ass process. And if you go through that process, your dog will listen to you. Your dog will want to do it, and you're going to give it the no look, and that dog will know. And regardless, and that's something that you can develop over time with your your dogs. But it's like, so when you do come across dogs that act out of line, chances are their owners neglected to do the core training when they were puppies.
Not only that. I totally agree with what you're saying, but animals that are adopted and they're already adults, and they keep on, why do you think Cesar Millan and all these other trainers that they're rehabilitating the animals? Because it's the humans that are not right, the humans that are not balanced. I know, because for myself, I have a Pomeranian. My Pom has been my teacher. Whenever I'm not okay, if my energy is low or I'm not well balanced, if I'm like sad or angry or whatever, my dog starts reacting. So what he's trying to tell me is, you are not a good leader right now, so I have to take over. And that's when I have to stop and think, okay, what's going on with me? I have to become the protector of my pack. And then that's when my dog follows.
You need to re-stab yourself as the alpha.
Yes, right? You have to. And I tested it out with my Rocky as well. Tested it out with him too. He was like jumping around in the whole thing. And when I'm not okay, when I'm like, in a different mindset, he's like, that's it. I'm taking over. I'm taking all. And he's a beast, right, of an animal. But the moment that I put it in my head, okay, I'm balanced. How do I get balanced? I pretend to be as tall, Tony Robbins, as tall as Tony Robbins, 6'7", strong. I got this. I'm taking control and I'm balanced. So I literally go through like a mantra, and then I get out of the house, and my dog responds better than when I don't do that. Right. So it really goes with your energy. And a lot of us don't do that. We don't do that. We're not in tune with ourselves. Oh, yeah. So then our animals are like, this one does not know how to lead. This one, I'll do whatever. And they can be the friendliest dog, great, but he's jumping around on top of a child. And that's not good, because maybe the baby's going to be afraid of it. Get scratched or whatever, right? And maybe it's with good intentions, but children don't know.
Right.
But yeah, Alicia, you don't have to worry about cultural references with me. I get them. Holden, maybe not, but
like what? Sorry.
I don't know.
Because you're talking about Tony Robbins, right? And then earlier was another cultural reference.
One of my
Tony Robbins is on YouTube right now, throwing ads at people right now. Guarantee you, somebody saw Tony Robbins.
That guy will never give up, right? I still see him now. I'm like, oh my god, he's still at this. Holy smokes!
I read that book he wrote that he got famous on. I read his book. It's he's pretty interesting character.
What other cultural reference did you and I talk about earlier in the show that we both did? What was that again? Oh, it was like, yeah, you and I. You were talking about something we did when we were young. That's pre Holden. I can't remember what it is. It's like something to do with
Alex just assume some of this stuff, even though
I assume lots of stuff.
And then you find out, I'm like, no, Alex,
it was on our last conversation.
We go through the same thing sometimes. Like, I grew up in a pre-internet dominated world, Alex,
Yeah, sure.
When I was like 8, we still
whatever
went
you
outside.
say there, young.
Our parents let us go to the park unsupervised. I'm from that age. Then 2000 came and everything changed and whatnot. But
I'm a Gen Xer, right? I have a reason to be grumpy. I grew up.
Alex is on his old man. Alex is trying to reconcile how to fit into the one.
Holden always gives me a hard time when I do this. I think it's hilarious because I'm not really that old, but it's like playing it up sometimes, right?
I'm not there. In my brain, I'm 18. Okay, so
it gives me license, right? I can blame everything on my old age. I'm an old man. I don't understand that. It works. Yeah.
You definitely got some old man in you, Alex.
And that's complete age discrimination, because you can get away with that, saying that, but you can never say, "Oh, I'm young. I don't understand." Yeah, you're young. What's your problem? Get out with the ticket, man. Give it the program.
That's exactly what happens. Old people judge young people. Exactly like that. That's called ageism. That's what we just did.
It's fun.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Talking about
Young
Tony,
people-
Tony spoke about that too, about him saying that he was too young to do anything, too young to do this and that, and it's beliefs, right, that we all have. So the beliefs that
Nat King Cole wrote a song about that, right? Too young to fall in
So
love.
you can definitely be in that, but
was a
I've
great
been in
track, by the way.
situations like
Holden
when I was
doesn't know that
26.
track.
Anyway,
doesn't know it.
When I was 26, I got into a situation where I was the youngest person in like the role, like the middle management sphere of this company, and it took months for them to take me seriously. Like it took something like 6 months before it wasn't like, Psh, you're young, what do you know? Yes, we're better at it now as a society, but there really is like an ageism thing that does happen. And now it's weirdly the opposite. Now it's like if you're 22, you're considered more valuable than if you're older. And like it's this strange manifestation that's happening in the modern corporate sphere where old people are kind of rigid. And it doesn't fit in well with the tech sphere of the future, whereas young people are like, I've got 15 years of marketing experience. I was on Instagram since I'm 10. And you're like...
You were, it's true.
Holden, I just have to say something about and being rigid and being conservative and not being able to like get outside your box. Do you know that for every single podcast that we have ever done together, Holden, you've worn the exact same hat.
No,
I've worn separates. I've worn my Cosmo hat. I've worn other ones, but I wear the grimy hats a lot because it's.
And yes, I do wear train hats, but if you notice, there's a wide variety of them that I sport. And
you can check it. I've worn at least 2 other hats. I got my urban. I got 2 other hats I've worn. I definitely wore my Cosmos hat recently because I have a Cosmos Famous hat, like from the restaurant. And I know I wore my orange julep toque at one point. I was going to wear it, but I couldn't find it. So I was going to wear the orange julep toque.
And that's the difference between Holden, millennials, and us Xers. We get on the track and we get where we need to go, right? We arrive there.
Alex, I guarantee you have way less clothing options than I do these days.
Some train stuff in there, if you notice that. Threw it in the track, right track.
Oh my God.
Now, getting there on time to the destination.
Aren't you the one that was late when I had to drive to the
airport? Oh my God, you guys are hilarious.
All right, okay. Well, I think this has been a great podcast, and Alicia, I want to thank you. Really, any year, big heart, out there helping animals. I think we had a really interesting conversation. And the conversations I find what's interesting about the conversation we had in the show, they're very open ended. We really did not come into any conclusions about a lot of the topics, which is very, a natural part of living, I guess, right? We need to be pragmatic and work our ways through these issues because there's no easy solutions, right?
No, we got to think about them.
Yeah.
Think about them and and see if we can create solutions for them. At least to start.
Right.
At least to start,
Yeah.
Like in my situation, I have about 50 cats that I have to place.
Mm-hmm.
And got to stop the reproduction. I have to get them all sterilized. I have to get them all adopted as fast as I can, right? So that's
so please, if you're looking for a companion animal, a cat in particular, think of Alicia and Helping Kitties. And she lets the cats choose. So you know what? Yeah. People out there, you better work on your game. I suggest you smell like kibble.
They're really sweet. I swear, these cats, I talk to them in Spanish, right? So I'm like, oh, la amor and everything, right? And they just grab onto me. And but they're really sweet, very, very playful. And I know they're very adoptable. So
I love cats. So I really, yes. So, and then I guess in final statements here is, upcoming today, believe it or not, I passed over my art piece for my participation in the NEG Art Hop. And people, if you come to my studio during the open studio day for the Art Hop, you will finally understand why people call me Trainman. It does come from something.
Just go follow him on Facebook and you'll see it all there.
True.
Art Hop. Shout out Art Hop. That's coming up end of May.
So it's Porch Fest. So Porch Fest is first.
I was going to say, more importantly for me.
And you're in Porch Fest, Holden. You're going to be a rapper on Porch Fest, right?
Yeah, because yeah, don't worry for all you parents out there. We know the rules. We have to censor ourselves, so we will.
Right.
It is what it is. But yeah, we'll be over
Why
on.
can't rap be clean? Why does it always have to be like, profanity all the time? I don't get it. What is it? What is up with that?
It's the
To be
power
honest,
in the words.
honestly, it's because like it stems from a counterculture. To be honest, is the quick
Yeah,
answer
I can
for
see
you.
that. I can see
And
that.
like a lot of the
Yeah.
like, why is pop music allowed to blatantly talk about sex, but because they don't say fuck, it's okay? Like, some of these pop songs are teaching your kids real bad morals, but you like them because it's Bon Jovi and stuff.
Hey, don't talk about Bon Jovi.
They just don't say
I kissed a
fuck.
girl and I liked it.
Honestly, that song is super tame
wrong
compared
with
to some
that?
of them. That song is super tame compared to some of them 70s rock joints. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's right. My girlfriend's a centerfold. Remember that one? That was pretty bad.
Or like anyway,
remember that
there's a
one?
lot of wild songs. Like Iggy
That was
Pop should
weird.
not be played
Yeah.
for children.
I got him. I get myself in
Or
trouble
like
now. But I
half
didn't
these
sing
dudes
it.
were just, you know,
mentioning
the
cultural reference there.
tight jeans wearing rock stars. Like, we know what was going on. It was just allowed because they literally didn't say the F word. So as long as you
Yeah.
don't say it, you can literally say what you want. Anyway, but family friendly is what family friendly is, and you can't be obvious. So it's pretty easy to not swear. So that's the rules of how it is. And so yeah, I'll be there Saturday the 18th at noon over a bit.
Holden, I'm willing to bet money that you're a better rapper for it.
No, I'm just going to censor my stuff with swearing. People act like it's like that. Like, I have a whole song right now. It's probably the best thing I've ever written, but the end line of every line is the word shit. But if I censor it, the song still makes sense. But the way I deliver the word shit in each instance is
can't say shit.
impactfully.
I don't know.
It's
Shite,
part of
can you
the
say
7
shite?
words you can't say on television, Alex. You should
can't
know
say
that,
shit on
old
TV.
man.
You can't say shit on TV.
You're telling me you're not up to date with Carlin's 7 words of TV.
I didn't know that.
How is this young man over here schooling you on this?
Is bullshit
Yes.
acceptable?
Bullshit and bullshit made the list, and that was kind of corny of him. I would say that's a cop out.
But I know that you can say seal in French on French networks, right?
Yes,
right?
but that's a separate thing. 'Cause
Okay.
It's fuck.
All right.
It's fuck.
Okay.
That's how you would get away with saying
Okay.
fuck in French class
I
back
see.
in the
Okay.
day, and your
Okay,
teacher would
I
look at
see.
you.
All
But I mean,
Alright.
you can swear on a lot of things now, but you can't swear before 9 p.m. Like, there's a lot of rules to it. Like, even if you go on radio, like I did a morning interview and I said shit, and they let it slide because nobody cares really. But in theory, if I said shit at like 11 in the morning and somebody did call the station, that is a complaint they have to deal with because there is like profanity rules and stuff. So in public and whatever. But as far as the art side of it, I don't know. A lot of not swearing music's wishy-washy and weirdly written. Swearing is all about the vehicle upon which it's used. So if it's just pointlessly excessive, you could argue it's weak art. But, I mean, a lot of people just didn't swear because it was illegal, not because they didn't want to swear in their music.
Is it kind of like, that there's that track that was really popular. I don't hear it anymore very much, but remember it was like A, B, C, D, F, U, and it kind of ended there.
Oh.
Were they trying to say
That
something?
song's pretty good. That's a teenage girl writing about a breakup song. That song is just like, I'm mad at you, boy who hurt me, and I'm a young girl. So
Your brother, it's like F you, your sister, your brother, except your dog.
Your mom,
she gave,
and
and your
the dog
art.
gets a pass.
God.
But
and then,
But
and you-
arguably, it's teenage angst stuff. I don't know.
Well, I think that teenage angst like exists. I still feel that in my my ripe 50s. I can relate to that. I think that as you grow older, you get a little bit more impatient when life's little annoyances I don't know if that's happening to you, Alicia, but it's happening to me. I tell you that much.
Well, I'm not. I'm 40. I'm 46. So Alex, I'm not in my 50s yet.
I have to say that the weather today
Baby.
got
I'm a baby.
the weather today got on my nerves because
yeah?
I work outside, right? And I deal with that stuff and I have to move materials around. I did not enjoy the weather today. Okay, to the
Yeah.
gods,
I think
let it be known.
I think at any age we don't enjoy that kind of weather unless you really love the rain.
And then I had to move my artwork around, and it's like I gotta have an umbrella so it doesn't get wet. And it's like it was annoying.
Plastic.
Yeah.
You have to think about more.
Oh
things.
yeah. So saying that, our artwork is on display in that Cafe and NEG. God help me. What is it called?
Alex, one
Oh my
responsibility on your
God.
plug.
Oh my God.
One
I
responsibility.
was in the cafe today. What is it called again? Oh my God. I'm so
Where is it
embarrassed.
located?
It's where the toy store used to be. Remember on the Sherbrooke? Oh, God help me.
It's on Sherbrooke.
Yeah, it's a new cafe.
The one
Let me
on Sherbrooke one.
here it is. It's at the cafe, a Biblio Cafe. Does anybody know where this Biblio?
Oh,
It's a new
actually,
cafe in
yeah.
Sherbrooke, right?
I
So the
totally
artwork's
tried
going to
to
be
pitch them.
the artwork's going to be an exhibit there for all the artists that participate in the art hall. I handed in my piece today, which is called the Royal Secular.
Really?
Yeah. So
Can't wait to see it.
it's a miniature, of course, an N scale, and it's called the Royal Secular. I hope that I've intrigued everybody with that name, and I hope you go down and take a look at it. And you'll get a little tidbit of what the art pop is
Also,
going to be.
post that on Instagram and Faceman and tag the Trainman report. And then we'll take the best. We'll show off your pictures. If you do that, we'll post it on the show. Any picture you take of Alex's
Okay,
art.
we'll take that offline because it's almost 8 o'clock, and
Well,
this
no,
show
that
is
was meant to be said online. But
okay.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm gonna post the pictures from the art exhibit
Not
of all the
you,
artists.
them. They're going to go take pictures of
Oh,
your art
yes,
and
okay.
use hashtag
Yes.
the Trainman report
I feel
so
so
that
old
we
right
see
now.
it. And then,
All right. All
I
right.
understand you. I understand you. Yes, it's a very good
But yeah,
idea.
All right.
we
All right.
appreciate everyone coming through. Thank you so much for it. It's been really great. I really enjoyed this conversation personally. I think, like, as much as it's fun to talk about some of the more political issues, this is a different type of political issue that really needs to be explored. So I guess it is a politics thing, but it's like framed in a more casual, fun way because it's animals and stuff. And it's like touching on these different types of real life things we all encounter are really important. So it was really fun. And if you want to come on the show and have some ideas of what you want to talk about or what you're passionate about, or to advocate what your group is or your not-for-profit or whatever you're trying to do out there, we're here. We'll happily let you come on and speak your piece. And thank you all for watching in the comments. Shout out Steve Novak for participating. Shout out Maggie B over on YouTube, who was also commenting. And if you're watching this, make sure to leave a comment, like, share with your friends, tell them we're doing this and all that. And yeah, we totally appreciate everyone being a part of this. And all that being said, live long and prosper, everyone out there.
I can do that too. Yes.
And next show, your best squirrel recipes.
Yeah.